I should probably watch the shared screen then.
You probably should. But
I'm good.
anyway,
Yeah.
anyway, welcome guys to More Than a Conversation, episode number 13. As usual, I'm joined by Forever the Airverse.
Hello.
All right, and so this week we're gonna basically do kind of like the same thing we did last week. We're just gonna talk to you guys and talk between each other and just keep y'all updated. And so, also, got a big reveal to show you guys. I did some rebranding for the podcast. So forever, you think it's time to show the fans?
Go for it, man.
The official new backdrop for More Than a Conversation is this beauty. So this is going to be our new background that we're going to have displayed in the background, and you'll still get to see us talk, and it just...
Well, I mean, they won't get to see it talk.
I mean, they won't see us talk, but they'll see our little green circles pop up.
Yeah.
But this was just, it was a nice little change, spice things up a little bit, update the page, make it a little more fresh. But anyway, forever, how's your week been, man?
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, I know, right? Have you ever been to a concert before?
I have not at all.
Oh, so you haven't experienced the post-concert depression.
I can picture an idea of how that's like, what that's like.
Oh yeah, explain to me what you think that's like.
Kind of gives off like a vibe of just like you had such a good time and enjoyed it all so much, and now that it's like gone, you wish you were back there.
Yes, 1,000%.
1,000%. See, I'm good at this.
Listen. If you know me, you know that I struggle with like social anxiety, right?
Yeah.
It was off the charts, and I was like, it's still one of the greatest experiences that you can do.
Yeah.
It's crazy. For some reason, like I don't really do. How do I explain it? So I don't really do talking in front of people.
Yeah.
Right. I don't really like being the center of attention per se. So usually I'm good in crowds, though.
Yeah.
So like sports games, they don't bother me.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I get it. I used to be the same way. Like, well, actually, not really the same way. See, for me, growing up, I was always that introverted kid, so I didn't talk to people in private, and I was super, like, paranoid in public. So, like, we would go to, like, the Monster Jam, or we would go...
Monster Jam was so fun.
It was. Or we'd go watch a Braves game, and I would just be panicking the entire time because I would be so scared.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but at that same token, you're also like a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
As an adult, at least you have that some type of assurance that you're an adult man and you can take care of yourself type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a kid, you're like, I'm like 42 pounds, man. Like, what am I going to do?
You just become someone's, like, suitcases they walk by.
Yeah.
But, yeah, my week, more or less, it's actually, normally my weeks have been going by really slow. Like, college has been, like, a big drag recently, and it just feels like the never-ending
It's just, it's those mid-semester blues.
Yeah, and so...
I got them all the time, man.
But yeah, this week, it actually felt like it kind of went by pretty quick.
And are you nearing your first, like, midterms, or are they kind of already passed?
Oh, they're coming up. I think it's, like, less than 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. Usually it's, like, first week of October.
Yeah.
Depending on your school.
Yeah.
Because I know Clayton, when I was there at Clayton, it would be usually like last week September and at the latest like first week of October.
Yeah.
Because of Thanksgiving break.
Yeah.
Which, to me, if you want my honest opinion, I think all colleges should implement starting school. But when do you start school?
When does school usually
When
start?
did like August what?
Like August 14th is when I started.
Yeah. If colleges would just start first week of August, like August 2nd or August 3rd, and then their semester ends a week, 3 days before Thanksgiving, that would work so much better.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you want to come back, earlier January instead of waiting till like January 10th, whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. But like, I always felt like taking a break for Thanksgiving and then having the pressure of finals right after, it was a killer
It kind
because
of
your
just takes
mind
you
was
out of
already
your
shut
momentum.
off and your mind was like,
Mm-hmm.
huh, what was that?
I said, I said it just kills your momentum.
Yeah. And it kills your focus, really.
Yeah.
So I think that would work better. But, who am I? Colleges they're special places.
Oh yeah. So yeah, but I enjoyed this week. You know, still haven't made any really like friends on campus, but there is like one guy that I kind of hang out with on like Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Oh, I thought you were going to say you met a girl. And I was like, oh,
no,
Maddie.
no. But hey, there is some pretty like beautiful girls at this campus, but I'm not stressing it.
Must be nice, man.
Mm-hmm. I
There
mean,
were zero baddies at any of my colleges, but I
that
was
is
mostly
tough. Well, you
online.
went to like
I
Georgia
was
State,
mostly
like new
online, so
campus, and I don't even think you can classify as that an actual college. It had like less than
yeah,
900 students.
yeah.
Um, and then like I don't know how Clayton is.
I I was always online for Clayton because of
Oh,
COVID and everything, so I was never actually actively on campus.
dang! But I've been enjoying it at, like GGC because
Hmm.
um, it's actually like a massive campus that has like several buildings and like baseball fields, a couple like tennis
Hmm.
courts, volleyball, soccer fields. It has like a fully loaded campus. Other than it doesn't have
All right, I will
a
say this:
gymnasium.
I'm not gonna like name drop or anything, but I
Mm-hmm.
did like this one girl at um Georgia State,
Yeah.
and she ended up rejecting me.
Mm.
Do you know why she rejected me?
How
You want
so?
to know why?
Why?
You want to take a wild guess?
Um. I
You're
feel
never
like it's
gonna
gonna be
guess it, but
something
take a
like
wild
off
guess.
the wall.
Take a wild guess.
My first guess was gonna be like, oh, you're too tall.
No.
Yeah, but that some people seem to like a tall person. Um, she didn't want a relationship during a pandemic.
No,
Dang,
not it. It was a
dang,
good guess though.
yeah. Um, I don't know what was it, man.
She was Baptist, and I'm not, and she
Oh,
didn't want to date outside her denomination.
dang, give me that phone number. I'm just messing with you. Dang,
Isn't that crazy?
it's weird like hearing about religious stuff at like Georgia State.
I know, right?
I mean,
They,
they had that
but
BCM Bible like study group or whatever.
yeah, yeah, I did that a couple times.
Yeah, I tried to
It
go.
wasn't.
I tried to go there. It's like,
Jimmy was really into that, and I went with Jimmy a lot.
yeah,
But
me.
you know,
I enjoyed like having just like a group of Christians to hang out with at campus when I was
hmm
there.
hmm
But it was kind of awkward because like they were using like a different Bible. Like they weren't using like the KJV and like the Bible studies, and so like I would go there.
Oh, were they doing like new King James versions
Yeah,
or something like that?
it was a lot of like New King James version, and I think
Mm.
an SIV
You know,
version.
those are actually. I don't know about. I can't attest to like anything else, but New King James versions are actually really good for you to actually understand Scripture.
Mm.
It's KJV, bro. You could sit there and like read one chapter and then spend the next 2 hours trying to decipher it.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like Googling like everything, bro.
Me, who's growing
Yeah,
up
but you're a
only
past.
knowing.
See, you're a pastor's kid, so it's different.
Me, like, I read those chapters and I'm like, yeah, I understand this.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. um, but um, but yeah, I like trying to go out and
Yeah,
just
I
be
just.
able to have like the little Bible studies or whatever.
Hmm.
But you're like trying
Hmm.
to read along with them, and like the words are different on the pages, and you're just like,
Yeah.
And so
I
I
mean,
didn't spend too much time
I
with it.
never really. Yeah, I didn't either. Because to be honest, I was that type of student that was just like in and out. Like
Yeah.
once my classes are over, like I
Mm-hmm.
was. That's it. I'd have I'd have hours in between classes, but that was usually when I would just hang out with like Jacob or something like that.
Yeah. Uh, you know, one of my
Staying longer than I needed to for a Bible study was not
yeah.
the type of student I was.
Like I actually
Or
had the
any
perfect
like.
I had the perfect schedule like my like third semester or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I legitimately had a class, had an hour long gap, then had my next
Mm-hmm.
class.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bible studies were always in that like 1 hour gap, so I was actually able to like pop in and sit while I waited for my
Mm-hmm.
classes to start back up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But every other semester it was always like during a class or like after my final class, and I wasn't gonna stay there, when I could be like going
Mm-hmm.
off to work to make
Yeah.
money.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You know what's crazy?
what?
My very first semester in college, you know what my class schedule was? And I remember this because I actually, this was before COVID, so I actually went to campus and stuff. You know what my schedule was?
Like 10 to 1,
No, worse.
1 to 3.
No.
Dang.
Do you know what is some like, advice other college students gave you or you would give to new upcoming college students as far as class schedule? What
Don't
would,
take
what would be the
morning
number one thing?
classes, or don't take early
Don't
morning
take
classes.
don't take early morning classes. I had an 8 a.m. class, but it doesn't stop there.
Mm.
It was a math class.
Oh,
I had a math class for like 8 a.m. to like 10:15, right? And
oh,
then
sounds like a
I had
college algebra? Question mark.
no, it was what was it? It was statistics,
Mm.
which is might be worse if you ask me.
I did
I
better
don't
in
know.
statistics than I did algebra.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But
Oh.
yeah, it's tough because like at Georgia or Gwinnett right now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking an 8 a.m. class, and that campus is like 50 minutes away from me. So
Yeah, it's brutal.
I'm getting up at 6 a.m. to leave by 6:30 to get there at 7:30, just to walk like 15 minutes
It's
to the classroom.
brutal. It's brutal.
It isn't fun at all.
But um anyway, so my day wouldn't end until like 3 because I had
Dang,
4 straight classes from 8 a.m.
dang.
And then I would have well, it wasn't like 4 straight. It would be like 2 and then like an hour and a half off and then 2 more. So my fifth class it was critical thinking Tuesdays and Thursdays from like 10 to 11 a.m. and then I was done. And I'd
Yeah.
have to drive all the way to like
Look, I'll
to
also say
campus to
this
just
about
do a
Georgia
one
State.
hour class.
I'll say this about Georgia State. Critical thinking was my favorite class of all time at that campus.
Who'd you get?
Brandon Yarbrough.
See, I didn't get him. The guy that I got, he was so cool, dude. He was so chill.
Mm.
Easiest class I've ever taken.
Mm-hmm.
Easiest class, by far, easiest class I've ever taken.
See, like it
And
was pretty easy, and then also he was a Christian, so he didn't like promote anything
oh,
that
interesting,
against Christian morals in the class. And then
interesting.
also, I was the only one that would answer his questions in the class. So when he would ask for a question, I'd be the only one to answer it. So he nicknamed me the voice of the class, And so for the rest of the semester, he no longer referred to me as Matt, but he always ended up
Mm-hmm.
calling me Mr. Voice or something like that.
That's hilarious. There was only like four students in my critical thinking class all semester.
So I had like 25, man.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was the opposite. Well, not complete opposite. I'll explain. My critical thinking professor was not a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
The very first class, the very first, I don't know, 10 minutes, he was talking about religion.
Mm-hmm.
And all he did was like write down this one question, right? And it was like, if you're religious, why do you believe that way?
Mm-hmm.
In the entire semester, he would no longer talk about religious aspects. So the entire semester, you basically were thinking, he didn't, like, he was like that type of professor, like, my goal in this class is for you to think and for you to know why you believe it. Doesn't matter if it's true or not, but why do you believe that?
Yeah.
That was the entire purpose of the class.
Yeah. Oh. And also another funny story about my critical thinking professor. So not only did he like call me Mr. Voice and stuff, but the critical thinking was the first class, like how I said how I had that hour-long gap. Critical thinking was the second class afterwards. And so he would come hang out with me at the little Bible studies, and then we would walk over to the classroom whenever it was time for it to start.
Oh, so you were like a teacher's pet.
Yeah, and then we also made
No, but
we also made Build-A-Bears
how was your?
together because they had a Build-A-Bear event at campus one day.
That's a little
No, look,
suspicious.
this
That's
is
a
the
little
thing.
suspicious, man.
Look,
Who did you
look.
give your Build-A-Bear to?
My ex.
There's
What do
only
you
two
mean?
correct.
What do you mean, my
Okay,
ex?
all right. There was two correct answers. Number one was being your girlfriend at the time, which she is no longer.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And and then number two would be your mom. Other than that,
Nah, see, but look,
we would be having a different conversation.
I didn't plan to go do it with him. So this is basically what happened.
That's a little sus too.
No, this is the way it goes.
All right, we're moving on from sus conversations.
No,
That's
look, okay. I gotta give some clarification because you just left it at sus. So okay.
Ryan's about to cut that out, bro, and you're gonna be done so much.
He's gonna clip that and make it come out so sus. Nah, but basically what happened was it was like the week before Valentine's Day, and they had like set up a Build-A-Bear booth, and everyone could go like make Build-A-Bears for their crushes and stuff like that.
Then you would
so
have to pay an absurd amount of money to do it.
Look, I have this girlfriend, right? I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna make a Build-A-Bear, and I'll give it to her next week for Valentine's Day. I go over there, and sure enough, once I get like the bear and the stuffing and all that, my professor is sitting in there making his own Build-A-Bear, and sure enough, the only seat unclaimed in the entire room of like the 100 seats available was the seat directly across from him. And so I had to go sit down in front of my professor and start.
Was there more guys? Was there more guys in there making a Build-A-Bear?
Oh yeah, totally. There was way more guys in there.
Simps. Oh my gosh, bro, simps. Did you get your money reimbursed for the relationship tanking?
What do you mean? I didn't get nothing.
It was a free Build-A-Bear?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a free Build-A-Bear. That's why so many people wanted to do it, because it's just like free teddy bears essentially. And I get to look like the good like relationship partner. So did not want to go over there and like do Build-A-Bears with the professor, but it just so happened that the only seat available in that whole auditorium was the one directly in front of him, and so we just sat there and talked about the class.
Unfortunate, man.
It was. I so wanted to go stand.
Could you imagine building your bear and your professor goes, "So have you read the chapter yet?"
Yeah. And
Did you?
more like it wasn't. More like it wasn't.
How's the go? How's the homework going, Mister Voice?
Uh, but yeah. But anyway, going on to something else. One of the other things that I kind of wanted to pick your brain about forever today was not just school life and the good and bad memories from that, but what'd you think of these past couple episodes of Ahsoka?
Okay, so episode 7 was this week.
Yeah.
So we got to see 2 more goats. You know, the returning king, of course, Anakin.
Yeah.
Did you like that, by the way? Because we were talking about the episode, like last week's or the other week's
Yeah, we were talking about
podcast
ways
episode
that like he
about
could
he
be
would
used, or
come back. Yeah.
yeah.
Did you like that?
I think that's one of those acceptable ways to do it.
Okay.
Um,
Actually, I'm like very curious because she was like, "Oh, and this was like the last one that he made."
yeah,
I kind of want to watch the rest of them.
yeah. You want to see those like other 19?
I want to, yeah, like I want to see. I don't
Oh,
know. This might be because of me because I haven't seen like Rebels or anything,
yeah,
but I haven't seen Master Anakin per se. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And I think that's a very unique
It's a unique spot to
a
see
unique
him.
way to see him in a new light. You know,
Yeah.
because everyone's like, "Oh,
Because so
consumed
far
with
he's just like this
darkness."
like temperamental drama queen who just
I just,
basically throws
I think,
tantrums.
right.
Has no riz whatsoever.
But I think it's important for viewers to actually see him and be like, there is good in him. Like, he did have a good heart. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And, you know, and it's a realistic take because you see it in real life too. Like, when people lose the love of their life and they have that kind of connection with someone,
Yeah.
like, they're literally the opposite person.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm not condoning what he did, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a realistic take, and I think it's important for new Star Wars fans and older Star Wars fans to actually see him in this kind of perspective.
Yeah. It was cool. You know, we had some drops. Okay, so we had I'll kind of go from like weakest to strongest character drops in my
Okay.
opinion.
The weakest was Leia, right?
No, there was one weaker than that you
Re-
missed. It's a Clone Wars reference, but
Oh, that's
when
why.
when
That's
Anakin
why.
is doing his training with Ahsoka or whatever,
Uh-huh.
he says you'll have to go against the likes, and he names a bunch of people like Grievous,
Oh, yeah.
Dooku, and says a
Uh-huh.
third one, Asajj Ventress.
Never heard
Now,
of him.
Asajj Ventress was Count Dooku's apprentice during the Clone Wars. She trained in the ways of the Sith under Count Dooku, and it was cool getting to hear that name drop because that's one of those characters that you don't even think about when you hear about live action. That's one of those few characters that
And that was a
doesn't even cross
weak
your
name
mind.
drop?
I mean, for me, but that's the thing because I'm thinking about the characters that were dropped. I mean, I was never a big fan.
Oh, okay.
I was never a big fan of Asajj Ventress.
Okay.
But she did have a pretty good story by the end of it. And then also, yeah, she kind of makes a turnaround by the end of it. But the way Clone Wars ends, you like just never see her again, and so we have no idea like really what happened to her.
Now, granted, okay, okay. Did you like the Leia name drop?
Yes. Okay. And so to say something about
I was gonna ask like that question because like
you
the
saw
actress
the
is
same post
dead.
on X as I did, probably.
No, probably not.
Okay.
Like the actress is dead,
Yeah.
right? So do you agree with? And this is not just like for Star Wars 2. This is like for Fast and Furious as well with like Paul Walker and everything. Do you agree with like allowing their character to still be alive in their universe instead of feeling the need to kill them off?
Yes. Okay. So basically, the way I
Even
like
though
about
you'll
it,
never see Princess Leia ever again.
Yeah, we'll never see her again, but it was cool getting to see those like name drops.
Okay.
And also, I like the way
But
they did it.
at some point timeline, they're gonna have to kill her off, right?
Well, she dies in the sequel trilogy.
Oh, I haven't watched the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, and so like
Okay.
I was trying not to say anything about it, but you're just
You were
like, no,
trying
they're
not
gonna
to
have to kill her
spoil
off.
it.
They're gonna have
Okay.
to kill her off, man. They're
I
gonna have to
just
kill her off
spoiled that for
eventually.
I just spoiled that for myself.
Nah, but she dies a little old
Frick.
lady. She dies a little old lady.
Okay.
hmm
And do you agree with the same thing with like, so has Luke Skywalker died too?
Yes,
And you, okay, in the sequel trilogy as well?
yes,
Okay. As an old man?
yes.
Okay.
Um,
But also, if the sequel trilogy isn't actually a trilogy connected to the prequels or the OG trilogy, and it kind of
they're connected.
theoretically stands
They're
on its own.
See, this is the I'll say this. They're connected, but a lot of like OG Star Wars fans don't want them to be connected because they consider the
Oh, so,
sequels trash.
so they just boycott it.
Yeah, fans try to act like it doesn't exist.
Okay.
So basically you have like the
So
three
it is
sides.
timeline. It is technically timeline
Yes,
and
okay. Kind
event
of like the way it
related.
happens. Kind of the way it happens is like you have like movie number 6, what is it? Return of the Jedi.
Right.
You have that, and then Force Awakens picks up like 20 plus years in the future.
That's gay.
Yeah, and so instead of like making it like a slow, but then again, we kind of notice the same thing with the prequels and stuff because we see like Luke and
Mm-hmm.
Leia born in Revenge of the
Mm-hmm.
Sith, and then they're
Do you
like
think do you think
1820 in original trilogy.
do you think they did that because they spent that whole 90s situation doing the prequels?
Made
Like
sequels.
late 90s, early like the prequels. So
So,
do you think they were forced to do a time jump?
um,
I'm just saying like
I think they I
I
think okay,
do
so I
I
think they
do
wanted
kind
to
of
do
low key
I think they wanted to do
question.
sequels. I think they wanted to do 3 sequel movies, but I don't know the whole planning behind it. I don't understand. I mean, the 20 plus years. I mean, the 20 years is like acceptable because that's the same thing that happened, basically
Right.
year wise between prequels and the original
So
trilogy, and
okay.
so
All right.
technically it is possible to just jump the 20 years again. But
Okay.
I don't know. There's just something
But
felt off about
hear
those
me out.
movies.
Hear me out. I have not seen the sequel trilogy. Okay.
Okay.
So if I say something and it is there in the movie, great. If it's not, this is me personally, like me who just got into Star Wars and is understanding the universe as a whole.
Yeah.
Don't you think the sequel trilogy with a 20-year gap would have been better if Luke Skywalker was a dad and he was training his son to be a Jedi?
Um. See, I'm trying to like think on it because like we said, it wasn't the Jedi code to have love and have families and children and stuff like that. Um.
Okay.
eh,
I'm saying like
But
a
we've had a couple that
retired
did it.
Jedi, like a retired Jedi,
Yeah.
like Luke Skywalker is not actively serving in the Republic or whatever it's called. Because I don't know. I think it's
There's
the
more
Republic or
context.
whatever.
I can't. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but Luke
Okay.
is doing some things that are Jedi affiliated.
Okay. Well, let's just say hypothetically,
Okay.
the sequel trilogy never happened, and the
Right.
sequel trilogy starts Episode 7, right? Starts with a retired Jedi, Luke Skywalker,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He had a wife and or love acquaintance
Yeah.
and had a son or daughter, whichever one, doesn't matter. If you
Yeah.
wanted to go the daughter route for Rey, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The mom dies. His wife dies or whoever
Yeah.
dies. The son or daughter, whoever, whatever they cared for,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they decided in the moment, is distraught and basically on the verge of basically like Anakin's decision. Luke trains him in his mind and everything to make sure that he or she does not make the same decision
You
as
know,
Anakin.
I'll tell you a story that
So
would have
Luke
been that would
just
have been
learns
cool.
from his dad's path to keep his son from being that same path.
Yeah, I'll tell you
Would
a
that
cool
not have
I'll
worked
tell
as
you
at
a cool
least
one.
like a sequel opener?
What's that?
Would that not have worked as a sequel opener?
It could have. Another one that I think would have been cool. In which we had
I don't know.
if you watch
Maybe that's just a dumb basic idea,
yeah,
but
it seems like a kind of like a more like stereotype based idea, but
again, like I don't know a ton of characters yet. I don't
yeah,
know a ton of
a story
reasons.
that
I
I
don't know.
think would be cool, which I hate to say it because we got like Star Wars Visions. They did an episode like it, which I'm not saying that they need to be like twins, but
Hmm.
because they already ran the whole twins thing in the original trilogy with Luke and Leia,
Hmm.
but it'd
Right.
be cool to have someone like Luke or do the thing with like whether it be like Han and Leia and them have two children and
Hmm.
one is pulled to the light and the other's pulled to the dark and
Hmm.
you have these three movies that it shows the one's path on climbing through the dark, the other one's path on climbing through the light, and then you get to the third movie and now the siblings are having to face each other. That's an interesting story arc because I haven't seen that. I have seen that stereotype in some films, but
Hmm.
it's an interesting idea to me because you can also do the thing of like you can maybe say like movie one focuses more on like the light sided child, but the
Hmm.
second movie there's a lot more screen time going to the dark sided child on their path, and then you have the final
Okay.
movie where
That could. I feel like that could work as a show though,
yeah.
because I think you would need to necessarily cut a lot towards each
Yeah, but
given person.
yeah,
I'm just saying. I think from the out, at least from me, like the outside looking in,
yeah,
the sequel trilogy would have been better if they used the characters that everyone fell in love with heavily versus introducing new characters like Rey
mm-hmm.
or Kylo Ren
Yeah,
and that kind of. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, I felt like I haven't watched it yet, but it needs to be a direct continuation.
yeah.
Like, it needs to be thoughtful and thoroughly connected.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like the way, well, I'm not gonna say anything about the sequels anymore. I don't want to spoil it for you when you get there.
You're good. You're good. You're
Um,
good. I mean, it's my own fault for not watching this when they came out, but I'm just saying, like, we're good to have this conversation if you want to.
yeah, but I'll kind of like,
Again, I'm not that type of guy that really cares for spoilers.
yeah,
Like, I don't get mad. Like, I'm gonna
yeah.
watch them anyway, so I don't really
So
care.
like the way Force Awakens kicks off
Hmm.
is you spend basically like the first like 30 minutes getting used to like Rey
Hmm.
and finding her. Well, the movie begins with the two side characters, Finn and Poe Dameron, kind of
Hmm.
escaping Kylo Ren and them.
Hmm.
Uh, but then it just transitions from them like crashing a Tie Fighter on a desert planet to now, oh wait, here's Scavenger Ray, and so the whole movie's taken like 30 minutes already, and all we've done is basically the first shot met Kylo Ren, second shot met Poe Dameron and Finn, third shot introduced to Ray, and it takes like 30 minutes per se, and then the people show up and they're trying to find Finn and figure out where the map to Luke Skywalker is essentially, and uh, they're trying to chase around Finn and blowing up the planet with Tie fighters, and then Finn bumps into
That's
Ray,
just
and they're trying to like find a spaceship to escape the TIE fighters, and they run into a junkyard, and it just so happens to have the Millennium Falcon sitting in the junkyard. They just hop in
Oh
it.
my
They
gosh.
hop in it, fly, do like this whole big chase scene where they blow up the TIE fighters, and as soon as they get into space, this big like junker cargo ship pulls up and captures the Millennium Falcon, and so Rey and Finn are like panicking and stuff. And guess what? The junker ship is piloted by Han Solo and Chewie and abducted the Millennium Falcon because they're like, oh, that's our ship. We should just pick it up because we just so happen to be in the right place at the right time.
So what you're telling me, and this is the vibe that I'm getting, it's extremely forced.
Yeah.
Unintended with the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
so
it's extremely forced.
It's either A.
So
make
what if?
more of it-
What if?
Make more of it new characters and have
Mhm.
soft introductions with old iconic IP, but don't just like rush the situation where like you just spend like 30 minutes
What
meeting
if?
these characters and now boom they're hopping in an iconic ship, boom mining iconic characters.
Okay. What if? What if Rey was the adopted daughter of Luke?
So that would be cool. I mean, like Luke sees the force
So-
sensitivity in her and takes her as his own.
No, I'm saying like, what if a battle went down? I don't know what battle, like wars, Luke's been a part of, and then
Not
like the
really.
dust settles, and then there's just this baby infant, like the only last breathing person in the village or whatever, right? And then he takes her in.
I mean, it could work.
Because I know for sure that the internet is livid about her not actually being a Skywalker and her getting the Skywalker name.
Yeah.
So that would technically fix the situation.
Yeah, that would take out a lot of controversies if you had her somehow raised by the Skywalkers.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be Luke, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It could be Leia.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think from, what I've been told and the differences between what I've heard from the sequels and what I've currently watched, they must have been smoking pot while writing the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give the sequels props in this area. I think some of the cinematography for Force Awakens was on point. Some of the shots and some of the imagery.
Okay, but you could argue that no matter what story, no matter what they decided to do, that was going to happen
have good
anyway because the
characters.
technology has significantly increased since
Right.
the 80s and 90s.
Right. And
That's going to
so-
happen regardless.
Right. And so I came in there with like a certain expectation, but they actually do have some powerful like cinematic scenes of like still images or like slow-mo images.
You could say the same thing about Ahsoka, though. Ahsoka's very
Right.
beautifully shot.
Ahsoka is extremely beautifully shot, but we're not talking about Ahsoka
Yeah.
right now, and so that's.
I know. I'm
that's
just
why
saying,
it's
like,
comparison.
just because the film is visually beautiful does not
Right.
make it a good film.
Right. You mean you need good characters, you need a good story. I mean, you can't just build a whole movie off images, essentially.
I don't know. I'll properly judge it when I get to watch it because you know me, I keep
Yeah.
it real.
We could be super
If I don't
critical
like
right
if
now,
I don't
and then we
if I don't
rewatch
if
them.
I don't like if I don't like something,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you. Like I don't,
Yeah. Which is funny because like I'm like a big prequel guy, but my family
Yeah.
they're not as into Star Wars as I am, and so they actually like thoroughly enjoy the sequels,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so they watch them.
They
and-
like the sequels more than the prequels.
Yeah, I'd say that they do.
Do you think that your family is more modern and
Yeah.
they don't really necessarily like because
I'll say this.
I think
I'll
what
say
I
this.
think what the prequels did was they tried to use the same structure and the same visual shots of a 70s 80s film
Yeah.
to try to make it look like it was before the OG trilogy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As like for me personally, like I thoroughly enjoyed the prequels. Like,
Yeah.
episode one's a little
Yeah.
iffy just because I don't really dig young Anakin. I understand the point that they have to introduce him as a kid to be able to become a Jedi.
Yeah.
Sure. But like it's just not like the entire 2 hour movie being about a kid is probably not the best
Yeah. Um,
structural
you,
screenwriting
you
perspective,
know what
at least for me.
you know what I just realized?
What?
We were talking about name drops in Ahsoka, and then as soon as we said Princess Leia, we went on this whole big thing on the sequels. But I'm fine.
Yeah,
with it.
what was a couple more? Because there are some points of at least episode 7, because it's fresh on my mind. I watched it today,
Yeah.
that I do want to touch on. Episode
well,
6.
Yeah,
Episode 6 was the one that was fully
basically fully Sabine.
fully Sabine,
Yeah.
and I didn't like that, and I already expressed my
Yeah.
displeasures over the phone with you about that.
Yeah.
And
Which,
we can dabble in that if you want, but
yeah, we can dabble.
go ahead.
We
Go
can
ahead and
dabble in
finish
it
your.
a little bit. But we talked for over an hour on the phone just about that one episode that wasn't
Yeah.
even an hour long.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can go ahead and finish your name drops though, if you want.
And so for me, like Asajj Ventress, it was a cool name, and it was cool getting to hear that character mentioned, but wasn't expecting it. But it does.
Mhm.
That name doesn't live up to like the same hype as the Leia name drop.
Right. Okay.
It was cool getting to see Leia again because that's not something you expect in this show. I mean,
Correct. Yeah.
She's.
I also like that her name carries power.
Yeah.
It's not just some normal person. Like you were like, oh, Leia authorized this mission, and everyone's like, all right, cool, you're good to go.
Yeah.
It's like we'll follow up and we'll make sure, but for now, we're good. You know what I'm saying? Like her name does carry power.
Yeah.
I do like that.
And I like the way they introduced her. Like I like how they used 3PO instead of just carrying the message.
I love that. I love that guy.
Because I don't necessarily know how the fans would take it if we had like an overly like CGI version of Leia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it would be
I agree.
I mean, there is people out there that could do like a deep fake, and you can do CGI on them to make it look.
Oh
like
yeah,
her.
100%, 100%. And especially with like the uses of AI right now, they could totally make it to where AI could reconstruct her voice at like everything.
Yeah, but I like the
and that's why the actors are striking.
Right.
They don't like that.
So I like the idea because now instead of having like this courtroom, because canonically from what I've seen, Princess Leia has only met Hera once in Star Wars Rebels.
Okay.
And it feels kind of weird for her to just like kind of kick open the courtroom doors, walk in there, and be like, "Nah, Hera's good. Let her go, man."
Yeah.
So I kind of like the idea of like the message that like, "Oh, 3PO, I have a message from Leia."
How many like Leia has actively met Ahsoka though? Or is it kind of like the same thing, like once, maybe twice?
I don't think she met her. I think she probably knows about her.
Yeah.
But canonically, I don't think there's been a moment that, because like Clone Wars
was that
Clone Wars time, Leia wasn't born yet.
Right.
So during the
and Clone Wars was Ahsoka.
And then after Clone Wars, Ahsoka's basically kind of been in hiding while Luke and Leia were growing up. And then
because Anakin turned to the dark side.
What?
Because Anakin turned to the dark side.
Right. And so she's kind of been like in hiding type deal. And then she shows up to fight with the rebellion. She was with Princess Leia's, adopted father, Bail Organa. But I don't know if she met Leia.
Okay. Anyway, is that the only two name drops that you liked?
I mean, those for the name drops. But then, I was gonna mention like Ezra and Thrawn, but they deserve their own little segment. They don't deserve just like the name.
Okay. All right. While we're on the courtroom sequence,
Yeah. That
All
Asian
right, this
dude.
could just, huh?
I said that Asian dude.
The one that was constantly,
Yeah. Yeah, that one.
okay,
That.
listen, forgive me if I say this wrong, but I think that dude's working for the Empire. I'm confident that that man is pulling some Hydra stuff and he's undercover.
Yeah.
I'm confident, man.
Yeah.
And I could be completely wrong because, and I said I may say this wrong because isn't the Empire technically dismantled? There is no Empire.
Yeah, and that's the point he tried to make is just like the whole because they
Okay.
basically call out Mandalorian season 3, which that was a cool little Easter egg that Carson Tava and that guy talked about. It was the Mandalorian season 3 reference, which
Mm-hmm.
which lets you know that Ahsoka takes place after Mandalorian season 3, and they mentioned the whole uprising that Moff Gideon tried having when he tried taking over Mandalore and
I
leading the
haven't got the
Empire and all that.
Mandalorian. I haven't got the Mandalorian
Yeah,
yet. So
basically, Moff Gideon does a bunch of crazy stuff. And then that guy in the courtroom, his thing was just like, oh, Moff Gideon was just a warlord. It doesn't matter what goes on with him. He was just a warlord trying to gain power for himself. He wasn't a full blown imperial threat.
interesting. Anyway, that's kind of my thought process.
Yeah,
And I could be completely wrong, and he could just be trying to prevent unnecessary actions.
right. I saw a meme today, and it was
I
just
don't
like
know. I just think that he's overly aggressive
yeah. I saw a meme
to
today.
not raise suspicion.
Yeah, I saw a meme today, and basically you'll watch this in Force Awakens whenever you watch it. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, the First Order, which is Empire 2.0,
Mm-hmm.
they build Death Star 3.0 that's like 4 times as large,
Oh my god.
and they blow up like 5 planets at once.
Oh my god.
And they were like all the New Republic planets that like you saw that like core room that they were meeting in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that planet's gone in Force Awakens.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
and so and
So this
so
is
and
so
so and so the meme was,
Ahsoka.
I hope this guy went into work that day.
So where does Ahsoka fall before the sequels? Like how many years before the sequels?
um,
Because obviously it's before the sequels. Because obviously Leia is still alive.
yeah, and also age wise, okay, because we know it directly follows the events of Mandalorian season 3,
Mm-hmm.
and so basically, I think it's still like another 20 years because I'll tell you a few things that I realized.
You
Number
think
one,
it's like 20 years before the sequels,
right? Um, because number
which would
one,
also mean it's like,
because number one, I'll tell you this. Number
which
one,
would
I'll tell you.
also mean like it's directly after the events of the OG trilogy.
Yes. Okay, because
Okay.
in Star Wars Rebels, Princess
Because
Leia makes an
Anakin,
appearance as young
Anakin
Princess
is
Leia in Star Wars Rebels.
okay.
And we know the events of this is taking place like 5 years after Rebels.
Okay.
And so Princess Leia is still going to be like in her like late 20s. And
All
she
right.
dies an old lady in
Right.
like The Last Jedi or
All
something
right.
like that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be,
Okay.
I would say anywhere between 15 to 30 years is my time frame before.
All right.
Um, and so, yeah, I'll say it once again. I like the originality. Instead of it being Leia kicking open the doors and walking in there and being
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
bad hero, I'm a defend Hera.
Now,
I like
now
the
if
3PO message.
now if she were still alive, do you think that that would be a different case and she would have actually made a physical appearance?
No, because she would still be an old lady if it was
Yeah,
because
but de-aging,
they
they
would
did
have to
it
do
with Hayden.
extreme de aging. Like the de aging, I think it would probably look worse than Indiana Jones. Which Indiana Jones, they did a good job on the de aging for the beginning of
Yeah,
the movie.
Indiana Jones was fine.
Yeah, but I think if they tried de aging Carrie Fisher, I don't
Mhm.
I don't think that they can make old Carrie Fisher look like young Carrie Fisher. It is going to be way too difficult.
Okay. I also agree with like even if she were alive, if she could make a physical appearance, like realistically, who's gonna want to make a trip to to like that courtroom just to say, yeah, I vouch for her.
Yeah.
Like you just want to send a message anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Even if it wasn't just like that, even if they had done maybe one that I could have been fine with, is if 3PO had a little hollow message and it made like the tiny hologram of Leia. If they had done something like that, I could have been fine with it. But I don't think we need a big like.
But that would also mean that they would have to use AI for her voice.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I think they did it the right way.
Yeah, they definitely did it the right way.
I'm highly confident they weighed their options though, but they did it the right way.
Yeah.
Do you think Luke's gonna make an appearance in this?
No. No, I don't.
You don't think so?
I don't. Well, if he makes an appearance, it's gonna be season 2. I don't think he's gonna make no big.
That's fair.
Because
that's fair. Because it's kind of like
he made a big season finale appearance, and so it feels kind of weird to have 2 different shows and just have Luke be like the big like climax in the season finale. Like, OMG, it's Luke Skywalker coming in the season finale to save the day.
That's funny. I'm just saying, like, from a realistic standpoint, you would think Luke Skywalker would have his hands in pretty much everything. Because he's the center of the universe type thing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Do you understand that reasoning, though?
That basically the storyline revolves around him as a character, so it should.
Like, Star Wars was literally created on the name of Luke Skywalker and the character of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. It's more or less now the Skywalker family tree from what we've learned and the people that the Skywalkers have impacted. But I'm saying if it wasn't for the original trilogy having Luke, you don't have.
Right. Now I'm saying it doesn't have to, but I'm saying like it doesn't surprise me if the Republic or whatever it's called acknowledges Luke Skywalker as like the main guy to want to go
save the day
to different events going on to try and dismantle it or end it. You know what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying in that point though?
Like you would want the people to try and turn the Luke Skywalker as kind of like to
right.
get back on that hero role and save the day again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
But also from like a Republic standpoint, you would be like, well, the last time we trusted a Skywalker, well, you know what I'm saying?
Well, this
Republic,
like you could also Republic is after the events of
right. After the events of Anakin's death.
They know Luke saved the day, so they would be more trusting.
Correct. But I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't surprise me if but Luke made an appearance in almost everything that Star Wars makes.
Yeah.
Up until Mark Hamill dies.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm trying to.
I'm just saying.
Luke didn't even show up in Rebels. He didn't show up in Rebels at all, which was interesting. Crazy. He was referenced. Kinda.
Rebels. Was Rebels.
He was indirectly referenced.
Where was Rebels timeline wise?
It's a middle gap in the original trilogy, I think.
Okay, that makes sense because he's not fully a Jedi or fully into. You know what I'm saying?
It happened somewhere in the somewhere after Revenge of the Sith. No wait, it happens about in the time of the original trilogy.
Okay. Anyway, now that we went down another rabbit hole. Okay, let's see. A few points that I wanted to make on episode 7.
6 or 7?
7. I mean, we could start at 6 if you want. It'll be brief.
I'd rather start at 6 and kind of do it chronologically.
Okay.
So,
briefly.
so I know we both have like two different opinions on it. So you want like one of us to go first
I'm
and the
not
other one go
saying
second?
I'll go first because
Okay.
you kind of your opinion counters my take on it.
Yeah. All right.
I personally did not like the fact that Ahsoka was only in the episode for like 20 seconds. And we can have that discussion in a second, but I want to say that if a character is the title character of the show, they deserve to be in the show and need to be in the show every single episode for an extended amount of time. Now, your points that you can now say, I
Okay.
completely understand them.
Yeah.
But it's like one of my biggest pet peeves in all of television when the title character is skipping an episode. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. Um. So like my viewpoint on it was at first glance it looks like an episode where they spent all of episode 5 talking about Ahsoka and going through Ahsoka's history with Anakin, and basically
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka dominates the screen time and we get like zero Sabine time. Like
And that's
like
completely
background
fine because the show is not called The Adventures of Sabine.
right. But I felt like that initially episode 6 was, episode 5's all Ahsoka, let's catch up with Sabine during this time and see like what's going on with Sabine, because during the events of we got to think during the events of episode 5, Sabine's just locked in a cage the entire time. And so it is
And
not
I'm
going to be
completely
amusing.
okay with that.
It's weird. It would have been weird if we kept flashing to Sabine, seeing her just locked in a cage the entire time, and for that
Agreed.
plot to go absolutely nowhere.
Agreed. But it's also not her show. So
Right.
even if she's not in the show for the entire rest of the series, I don't care.
Yeah. And then in episode number 6, we see Ahsoka. They found their own way to get to Sabine and Ezra and them, and so they take the sky wheels, and just like how we had basically Sabine locked inside of a cage the entire episode, now we have Ahsoka stuck in a ship the entire episode. So I think they tried to give us as much action as they possibly could. So like how you had a jam-packed action episode 5. Now here it is. Ahsoka's going into this point. She's going to be basically absolutely useless for over an hour. Let's go check up on Sabine while we wait for Ahsoka to catch up.
All right. Here's a counterpoint to this. You ready? In episode 7, we clearly saw one of the coolest moments in the entire episode was her training to a previously recorded Anakin Skywalker video. They could have created some type of meaning on ship for episode 6. I don't get, like, you could have given me 10 minutes of screen time with Ahsoka, and I would have been okay with that. Ahsoka doesn't need the entire 30 minutes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and so like, I don't know, it just feels weird because I don't necessarily, I mean, you introduce characters for a reason. You have a whole bunch of background characters and side characters for a reason.
Agreed.
And so it just feels weird to say like, here's this side character that was a very like important character through episode 4. Now here it is for the next
a semi-important character through episode 4. Yes.
We're not seeing them at all for the next 2 episodes.
But she's a prisoner.
The episode before the season finale, boom, here it is.
Again, my point was that a Sabine-led episode is fine if I had 10 minutes of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I get that.
That's all I'm saying.
I get that.
I don't mind a Sabine-led episode.
Yeah.
When it is, in fact, serving the purpose of Sabine, which was ultimately finding Ezra.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Mhm.
Again,
And
it
I,
just
and I
boils
also,
down to the
I'll,
lack of having your title card character.
right. And I also think another reason why they wanted to give us so much Sabine in that episode is because our last taste of Sabine was her decision she made in episode 4 that made people like Forever very mad and people like me just like with it. Um, and
Very upset.
so
And she has
I
no
think it's
remorse to it.
yeah
However, she did think she was dead. We now know that.
yeah yeah.
We now know that.
I
She
legitimately
thought
told you.
she
I
was dead.
legitimately told you that, and bro's like, "Nah, bro, nah." She abandoned
Listen,
her.
that's fine. But again, but also to that same token, if you think she's dead, why would you leave your dead body, your friend's dead body,
Well, I don't
on a
know.
whole
Your
nother
friend got
planet?
knocked off a cliff, so she's washed away into the ocean, and so it's just like, good luck trying to find that body.
Clearly not.
And
A,
it and
a
basically
freaking
the
8-year-old
basic
kid did.
and like for me, but then
The
again,
8-year-old kid has more of a tie to the Force than Sabine does.
right? Because the kid's father's a Jedi, and Sabine has no force relatives at all.
Okay, but I didn't think
Only
I
way she
didn't
would have
think
got a
the
little force in her
I
is if she
thought
did something with Ezra.
I thought the ways of the Force were not genetically passed down.
Oh, they are. They definitely are.
That's what I assumed.
That's why Luke and
I
Leia
thought
have the Force, because of how tuned to the Force their father was.
he turned out to be Darth Vader.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most powerful characters in all of Star Wars, and so of course his kid's
Don't
gonna.
you think? Don't you think theoretically, you still have to have somewhat of a good heart to like be introduced into the Force?
No, because people of the dark side access the dark side of the Force all the time. It's not all about. It's not based about whether you have a good heart, whether you connect to the Force or
So
not.
that's what you just said, the dark side of the Force,
Right.
right? It's the same with the speed force of the Flash and the negative speed force of the Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
Same power outlet, but a positive and negative charge.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Um.
If Luke and Leia were genetically passed down through a good line of people, they still have to somewhat prove that they're a good person in order to acknowledge
Yeah.
and use the Force.
It comes down. It comes down to choice whether you choose to live a life in the light or give over to your emotions and join the dark. Essentially.
Anyway, let's get back on track. Anyway,
And so with episode 6,
so
right? I think they wanted, or episode, yeah,
episode 6.
I think they wanted to give us a lot more Sabine because everyone had such like a poor taste in their mouth for her after episode 5. Other than me, I was fine with Sabine.
That was the whole point of episode 5, was to create that sour taste
not
for
episode 5,
fans.
episode 4. I mean,
Or episode 4.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of creating that decision for her to make, was for fans to get pissed off about it.
Right. And so
whether you understand it or not.
Yeah, and I think in episode 6 they tried, giving us more Sabine. I'll say a few things right here and then we can move on. I think they tried giving us more Sabine because of our lack of Sabine in episode 5. I think also, if you notice the tone of episode 6, it is a lot more comical. Like we have a lot more comical scenes in it than we did in the regular episodes. Most of it's usually kind of deep stuff.
Okay.
But there's some more lighthearted and even some goofy moments in it. And so I think that
what don't you think, which is ironic, which is the first episode to introduce Thrawn, and then it's this comedic heavy show?
That weirded me out a little bit. I didn't necessarily like that, but I think that what they were trying to do is like, here's more Sabine to make up for your lack of her. Here's her in a lighthearted mood to like change your emotions from Sabine.
How can you have?
Sabine,
how can you
funny?
How can you in good conscience have a lighthearted mood? when you know you basically are doing nothing to try and stop Thrawn.
Right. And
Like
that's what I
in
think
good
is,
conscience,
and like
how can you
you
say
tried making the point the other day or whatever on the whole like loyalty argument on how like she's not loyal to Ahsoka anymore. She's loyal to Morgan and Thrawn, but we literally see
I didn't say
in
she
this
was loyal
episode.
to Morgan and Thrawn.
You said it was a loyalty change. Well, I said it was a
No, no,
well,
no.
it was
I
a
said it's a loyalty question.
yeah,
It's not a change.
yeah,
It's the question of loyalty for Ahsoka,
yeah,
which is presumably her master,
yeah,
not Thrawn.
yeah,
Loyalty change as in a self-centered loyalty,
yeah,
as far as I'm going to do what's best for me.
yeah. And so, like me, I bet I made the former argument that she's making her judgments based off emotion. And so she feels Ahsoka's dead, which now we know that she thought Ahsoka was dead. And she knew that this was
Not
her only
argument.
opportunity to get to Ezra. And that's why as soon as we see her get to the planet, the first thing she
Uh-huh.
does is instead of trying to find a way to stop Thrawn or any of them, she just knows I gotta get to Ezra.
Not arguing.
Yeah.
But as soon as she finds Ezra, she doesn't even tell him that she has no way of getting home.
Right.
And he's just like, I can't wait to go freaking home. And
Yes,
she's just sitting there like,
I've seen a meme. I've seen that meme so many times because we actually
sorry,
saw
Chuck,
in,
you're out of luck.
in episode 7, he dropped "I can't wait to go home" like 3 different times.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, I understand, but it still pissed me off.
Yeah.
Right?
It makes a good narrative.
So
point,
even
to
if
say
you
the least. To me,
look
makes
at
a
it
good
now,
narrative point.
even if you look at it through episode 7 now, right?
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, I said obviously plot armor, everything's gonna work out. Ahsoka's gonna get there. She's gonna find Ezra. Blah 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 blah. Right?
Right.
So to my argument is, they didn't have the title character in the show, right?
Right.
Now, imagine this aspect, right?
Right.
This entire season has been building up to what?
Thrawn.
Thrawn's return,
As
right?
to the Empire. Yeah.
Now, let's just say the introduction for episode 8, which is the season finale.
Yeah.
15 seconds, it shows him loading the last thing of cargo and bolting out of the planet. And the entire episode is Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra trying to get off of the planet and then go back home to tell everyone that Thrawn has made his return and he's coming. And then the season ends. Wouldn't you be kind of mad that Thrawn was literally built up for nothing?
Two different scenarios. I mean, because
how though?
The Thrawn situation has more of an impact and more of a build up. What was
then
it?
they own title character?
Thrawn necessarily isn't the title character because you made the whole thing on Ahsoka needing to have the limelight. And so
My argument is the two most important characters
okay.
don't get screen time. That's my argument. Thrawn is more of an important character in number 2 in the importance of characters in the Ahsoka series than anyone else. It's Ahsoka and then Thrawn. That's the two main characters
Right.
that need screen time.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah.
And if they literally stop the series on the basis of him having 15 seconds and then leaving the planet, and then you don't see him again, you'd be kind of upset.
Yeah, which I think it's kind of different in the aspect of you're comparing season finale to like mid episode because the situation here is Thrawn gets 15 seconds. We spend the entire episode with Ahsoka. Boom, show's over. We gotta wait for season 2. When for us the other week, it's just like, boom, 15 seconds of Ahsoka, all Sabine. Now we know that there's an episode right after this. We know it's going to pick up and change. So there's different expectations when it comes to these two different scenarios. You see what I'm saying? So instead of it being like the big...
I do, but to your same token, it doesn't matter.
You're comparing the most important episode of the entire show to a
again,
mid
to that same
episode that was a
token,
filler episode.
it doesn't matter what happens. Everyone's still gonna be like, man, we gotta wait a whole nother whatever to watch season 2.
Yeah, but waiting a week's a lot better than waiting a year, essentially.
Either way, the show's done next week.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not avoiding that.
Oh yeah.
So
But
I don't know. That's just my basis on episode 6. We can move on to episode 7.
what's your thoughts on Ezra?
Ezra?
Yeah.
I think he's a chill guy.
Yeah. Space Jesus.
I think he's chill. I can't obviously attest to, was it Rebels?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I can't attest to Rebels. But he's a chill guy now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
One of the main things that I wanted to like point out, when him and the rock people start getting like the white chick with the white hair comes up and she's like he was like, who is she? And she was like, oh, she's you, just less funny.
Yeah.
And he was like, does she use a lightsaber? And she was like, yeah. I thought that was funny. And then they got out to like start to fight. And she was like, here's your lightsaber. And he was like, no, I don't need it. The Force is my ally.
Yeah.
And then he goes and literally fights with only the Force. I thought that was so freaking dope.
Yeah. And it was also funny because I saw memes about this as well, where he's like, yes, the Force is my ally. I don't need the lightsaber or your blaster. And then like just moments later, Shakti or whatever ends up throwing him into a wall using the Force. And we notice in like his very next scene, he like picks up a blaster and starts blasting people with it. And it's just like,
that's funny. I didn't put those two together, but that's funny.
Yeah, and we actually noticed he like saved Sabine's life technically like twice using the Force.
Oh yeah, 100%. Sabine cannot fight, bro.
And also,
it is so displeasing to watch.
Yeah.
Like, okay, my logic is she has access to a lightsaber at all times, and yet she always be going for those blasters, bro.
I think because it's because she's a creature of comfort, and I'll say that. Basically, you just got to compare it like this: you have a sword or you have two guns. You've spent your entire life shooting those two guns, getting used to them, aiming with them, learning, becoming basically building an attachment to the gun, and now it's just like, oh, instead of using this thing I'm comfortable with and I know how to use, I'm gonna bust out this thing I can barely use and I'm gonna try and fight with it.
You ready for this? 2 points here. Number 1, you can never get good at something without using it consistently.
Right. I mean,
Number two, if she spent all of her life learning and training and aiming with those guns, she missed 70% of her shots.
I knew you were gonna say that. It's retarded because she is such a much better shot in Rebels, and it's like things I noticed in this show.
So even you're upset with it.
I'm upset with it because in Rebels she's a better shot, and in Rebels Thrawn actually kind of knew who Ahsoka was. And so it's kind of like these different little things they're kind of like retconning. I still think it is interesting that, Sabine can still barely use a lightsaber, just like how it was in Rebels. She could barely use it. And we've seen that carried over to this. She had poor training then. She's got poor training now. And so she's choosing not to use it. And that's what I think it boils down to in all reality, is that she's not comfortable with it yet, and so she's going to put her trust in something. So instead of just relying on the Force to guide her with it, she's going to basically put her trust in her eyesight and in her blasters, instead of allowing the Force to kind of flow under her.
Isn't that why she's not getting good with accessing the Force?
Yeah, I think she's relying
too much on self and emotions to connect to the Force. Correct me if I'm wrong. But isn't the Force heavily based on your ability to trust it?
Yeah.
Okay. So if she's not,
until she learns to let go of her attachments, she will never be able to tap into the Force.
well, anyway,
Until she learns to like let go of Ezra,
I
let go of
yeah.
her heritage, let go of Ahsoka, until she can let go of all of these
Well, I don't know
things.
if it's necessarily Ezra.
Yeah. Well, we've
I
seen
think it's more
Ezra
so.
dictated
I think it's more
her
so a.
entire story arc in this ship. We've
I think
noticed
it's
like
more
50%
so.
of her actions have been done just so she can get back to Ezra.
Yeah. No, no, no. Yes. Not. It's not the letting go of Ezra. It's letting go of the I have to save him part.
Yeah.
That's what she needs to let go of.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, no, I forgot what I was gonna say, man. Oh man.
Well, until you remember,
Fine.
you want to talk about other. I'll talk about Ezra for a second. Until you remember, Ezra, I thought he was cool. They did a really good job on the character design. Um,
Dude, his
Also,
eyes. Was his eyes always like that in Rebels?
yeah, he has very blue eyes.
Dang.
Yeah. And then bro was drowning in them. I don't know what is going on here.
Hey, as somebody who has blue eyes, I'm just saying they're nice.
Game recognized game or
That's
whatever.
not. It's not. It's not. It's not hope. It's not gay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Got
They were
really
very
nice eyes.
prevalent. They were very
They're
prevalent.
they're most likely CGI, but
Yeah.
you know.
Um, but I'll also say this. I think it's cool they kept him lighthearted and witty. I figured that, maybe him being
I
alone.
do agree. Yeah, I
I
agree with
figured
that.
him being trapped on this planet for all these years would have kind
Of
of
just like
hardened him and
it
turned him
was
more cold.
him him keeping his hope and faith and optimist and having optimistic viewpoints of life. I really like that
Yeah.
because most people who were put in that position
Lost hope.
gone for. Like they probably would die. I don't even think they would even
Yeah.
last that long.
You know.
I remember what I was gonna say. I remember what I was gonna say. You ready?
Yeah.
I hope when Ahsoka is like, all right, let's try and figure out a way to leave or like fight Thrawn. Anyway, either one. I hope the Rock people go with them.
Across to a new planet.
Yes.
It'd be kind of weird, but it'd be interesting to see.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine the Rock people finally being able to live in peace without feeling like they have to move and die every 30 seconds?
Yeah, but I think I don't necessarily know if they'll do that. It'd be cool for like a little like side story for them, like they're getting to leave this war planet and go somewhere where they can be free and have peace. It'd be a cool side story, but I don't know if they're gonna explore that because it's gonna be tough trying
Well,
to.
obviously not fully explore it because it's one episode left and you probably don't want to spend too much time on unimportant
Yeah.
situations. But yeah, I'm just saying it would be nice for them to load up on the ship
Right.
and just go with them. They don't even have to explicitly say that they're going with them. Just like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Um.
I think it would be just as hard for Ezra to leave the Rock people
Yeah.
emotionally than it would be
I
to just crash land there.
I personally kind of see the season finale going on like Thrawn and them are going to escape, and we are either going to see the gang barely get onto Thrawn's ship, or they're going to get left behind, and they're going to have to. That's going to be the cliffhanger. Is that Thrawn's going to go take over the galaxy, and your only heroes are trapped on this planet?
100%. I guarantee you, we probably don't even see Thrawn leave. I guarantee you, we don't see anyone leave the planet.
That'd be interesting.
Also, Thrawn has a massive ship.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he theoretically could leave the atmosphere, but he can't just time jump or space jump or whatever.
He can leave the atmosphere, but he can't make the jump to get as far as he needs to.
Okay.
And it's also uncharted territory, so if he made a jump, he'd probably crash into a planet.
Okay.
Um,
That's crazy.
yeah, and so he's kind of just stuck
It's
there.
crazy to me that he kind of just like left Ezra without wanting to find him.
It's a tact. Well, you kind of realize he also said they made the comment. They dropped comments that not too many people or no one comes back if they leave. So why waste resources hunting for Ezra? Like, why devote
Mhm.
your entire like remainder on this planet to hunting one guy down when you can just consolidate resources, make the smart move, and then just leave him here alone to die?
Mm.
Because Thrawn always plays the smart card,
Right. Right.
and so why waste time, resources, and troops hunting down a guy with no weapons
Mhm.
and when I can literally just
I agree. You
consolidate
make a
everything
solid
around
point.
him.
You make a solid point.
Um, and so
Because Ezra didn't go there with his ship. It was only Thrawn's, right?
yeah, Thrawn's ship was the only one that went there. Um, a cool thing that it's a theory that I'm seeing a lot of people do, and it would be kind of interesting to see it because it would make something canon that um, has been iffy for a while, and it's more of a book thing. Um,
What do you mean it's more of a boat thing?
people are starting to theorize that Thrawn is basically loading coffins onto the ship, and he's going to try and make an army of zombies using Night Sister magic to take over the
I saw
galaxy.
that. I think I sent you that video.
What? Yeah. And this is
I
one that
think I
I've
sent you that
seen
video.
several times and actually thought about myself before you sent it
I'm
to me.
actually not like I'm not
And see,
disposing it. Like I think it's a good I think it's a good theory.
I'm not opposed to it for several reasons, because a in Star Wars: The Clone Wars there was an entire well. Yes, in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, there was an episode where the Night Sisters brought back a bunch of their dead sisters to basically fight against a bunch of battle droids and try and stop Dooku and Grievous.
Hmm.
Um, there was there was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, that was the first Jedi game they made for the PlayStation next to Jedi Survivor.
Okay.
And in that game, we're introduced to people using Night Sister magic, and when you go to Dathomir, the bad guy on the planet is using Night Sister magic to try and bring back the Night Sisters to fend off Cal, and so you have them being used as zombies once again. Then there was a book that came out where an Imperial Star Destroyer was transporting some biohazardous material, and it ended up leaking, and it ended up turning the entire crew into zombies essentially. Um, until the ship was like destroyed by like Vader or something. Um,
Hmm.
and so Star Wars is known to have zombies in it. We just have yet to see
Hmm.
them in a live action form. We've seen them in
Okay.
comic form, and we've seen them in cartoon form, and we've seen them in
Okay.
video game form. And so it'd be cool to see Night Sister magic used once again to make an army of like dead
And you said it was
stormtroopers or Night
and you said it
Sisters.
and you said it was in Rebels
It was in Clone Wars.
and Clone Wars.
Um,
Okay.
Rebels had possession in it,
Okay.
where like the
I
ghost
don't
of
know.
some dead Night Sisters
Right.
possessed
Yeah.
Sabine and Kanan.
Yeah.
That was one of the
What?
most unsettling episodes I remember watching as a kid. It's like this episode of
Pretty sure
Rebels.
it was.
This episode of Rebels kind of goes. It's the Ezra is tricked by Darth Maul, essentially,
Hmm. Hmm.
and he basically is. Darth Maul kind of abandons Ezra there to. They do some like Night Sister magic, and he tries to leave Ezra behind to be devoured by the souls of what Night Sisters are left in there. But then Kaden and Sabine show up to try and save Ezra, but then the souls kind of just jump into Kanan and Sabine, and so now Ezra's got to try and figure a way to get these like souls out of Kanan and Sabine.
Mm.
And the whole time, Kanan's trying to kill Ezra with his lightsaber, and Sabine finds the dark saber and tries and kills him with it.
Mm.
It was wild, but
Any predictions for the finale?
I don't know yet. There's still several loose ends.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're necessarily good. They're either going to have to develop the season finale really quick because of the way they've set it up. It's either going to have to be a really quick where the actions are going to make rapid pace in this season finale, or it's going to have to be an hour-plus episode to cover all the information that still needs to get solved. Because where's Balin going off to? Because initially I thought Balin was going to have this change of heart mentality and, you know, kind of give himself the safety
So
day.
it's still tracking like that though.
It's still possible, but now we're starting to see him.
Because even like in episode 7, when she was like, he was like, you go do this, go back, get your power into the Empire, and she was like, you don't want to come with me, and he was like, I have a greater purpose, or something like that.
No, he said he didn't tell her to go back to the Empire. He said
He didn't say that?
Where they're gonna. He said this is where we're gonna get our power. This is where we're gonna rise up. So he had.
And he told her to go back.
I don't remember him saying go back, but I'll have to
swore.
rewatch it and see if that's said.
I could have swore. I could have swore she was like, you're not gonna come with me, and he said no.
He said that when they go to the final battle. I mean, not the final battle, when she goes down to fight Ezra and Sabine.
Oh.
She questions him on he's not going with her. But he kind of has this character arc of he's extremely focused on power and his own path. And so we see him, he's still been an antagonist towards Ahsoka, because we saw, instead of him kind of pushing it off there, he directly got into conflict with Ahsoka, which lets me know that there isn't a peaceful resolve inside of him yet. And then also, I don't know, he it seems like he's got his own path and his own goals and plan and stuff, and it's not going in the same direction as Ahsoka's path or Thrawn's path. He's kind of just there doing his own thing.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm still waiting to see how that develops, because initially I thought he was going to have a pull to the light and he would help Ahsoka in the end, whether it be like a sacrifice or like holding the line or something. But now it seems like he might not even be present for the final thing, unless he just proves to be a final obstacle to Ahsoka. Like, I can see that being a thing. Like, in order for his plan to work, he needs Thrawn to be successful. So Thrawn's trying to get the ship ready to leave, and now Balin's gonna step in the way to try and be that final wall to keep Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine from getting to the ship. And I don't know.
You think he gets stranded there?
I don't know. It's a very, he has potential. He has several different routes laid before him, and I just don't know which one he's going to take, which I love. I love that it isn't predictable, because that is just going to increase that wow or shock factor.
Yeah.
When something becomes predictable, it is henceforth unenjoyable.
I mean,
that brief excitement of like, yes, I guessed the theory right.
Right. Next episode's predictably gonna be Thrawn attempting to escape, Ahsoka trying to stop him, either failing or succeeding. Most likely failing and setting up season 2.
Right. And so
that's probably how it's gonna go.
If they fail, now it sits there and it's just the thing of, how bad do they fail? Does Thrawn escape but they're stuck on the ship? Or does Thrawn escape and they're stuck on the planet?
Right.
And so, part of me thinks it is either A, they're going to get left behind on the planet, or B, Ezra's going to do something so that they can escape and save the day, but either Ezra's going to get left behind or Ezra's going to die.
Right.
Because they're going...
Could you imagine? Could you imagine going through all that trouble just for the man to die?
Yeah, because he's leaning so hard into that. I can't wait to go home. I can't wait to go home. Glad I finally get to go home. That it's almost just like it's giving into that stereotype that when you see a character consistency like excited for something or
Hmm.
direction like that,
Right.
usually if the character is super excited for something, they usually don't get to partake in it.
Mm.
um, like an example would be like, you know, um, it's like that story arc of like you've wanted something your whole life, but now you've got to sacrifice that for the greater good, or sacrifice it so that others can be helped.
For sure.
I feel like this
For
is
sure.
kind
And
of it.
Ezra is definitely the sacrificing type, clearly.
Yeah. And so I don't know what direction for it because there's several gray areas, and I like it because I could sit here and I could brainstorm for 45 minutes and think about how this season finale is going to go. But in all
I'm gonna
actuality,
predict. I'm gonna predict the last scene. Okay, let's just say Thrawn does escape. All right.
mm-hmm,
Maybe Ahsoka does not. I don't know. Whatever. That's not important. What if the ship enters the atmosphere and like this giant shadow is spread out across the city,
yeah,
and then you could see the courtroom go dark with like Hera in it,
yeah,
and then they look outside the window and it's Thrawn's ship, and they're just sitting there like, right.
yeah,
That's the end of the season. Could you imagine?
yeah,
I just want the council to be proven wrong
yeah,
immediately.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And so I don't know what direction the season
And then
finale is
that
going to
Asian
take,
guy
but I'm
just goes,
excited.
"For the Empire." No, I'm just
See,
fine.
because for me, I'm conflicted on the season finale
Yeah,
because
I do
to
think
me it feels like
logistically,
there hasn't been as an extreme build up as the season finale
logistically
tends
there
to
has
have.
not been logistically there has not been a climax.
Right,
Nor do you think that there is feeling of a climax.
right.
And to have a climax and a resolution in a 40-minute episode is going to be very difficult to
It is going
achieve.
to be very difficult. So I'm thinking that they're definitely going to have to do a season 2, and
100%.
I think
I think that
this
was their plan all along.
I think this is climax. I think
And you
this is
think season
climax of
2
the
is
story. I
resolution?
think you're going to have to view season 1 and season 2 as a whole, like a part 1 part 2 type deal.
Interesting.
Season finale of season 1
I
is
wouldn't
climax, and then
I wouldn't be opposed to that because I really feel like this season was heavily built on the fear and preparation of Thrawn's return,
right.
not what Thrawn does post return.
Because if you're gonna do something like that, climax is you get to Thrawn, and then
100%.
season finale is you've now fought your way through, and now you're either gonna stop Thrawn or you're not. Here it
100%.
is. Where's the climax? I mean, Thrawn showed up in the second to last episode, basically. I mean,
Yes.
sure he showed up in episode 6, but
Right.
wait till the
No,
last 3 episodes.
he was yeah. I'm saying it could very well have been a 9 to 10 episode season.
They could have done it easily, but
Easily.
I think they had fears because I think they had the same fear they had when they made the Kenobi series. Well, the Kenobi series
Extending it too long.
yeah, I think they didn't have it. They
Hmm.
didn't have that mindset during Kenobi, and I think they have that mindset now.
How many episodes was Kenobi?
Kenobi was like 10 or 12, and it did not need to
Yikes.
be that. And so
Hmm.
Kenobi was stretched out longer than it needed to be. People were actually really just wanting a Kenobi movie that's going to be like
Mm-hmm.
2 hours long and is going to tell a concise story, not
Like
not an 8 to 12
Han
episode
Solo, a Star
show.
Wars story or whatever it was.
Yeah, kind of like how Solo was,
Okay,
or Rogue
a
One
Solo.
was.
Yeah.
as a
Okay.
little one-off that tells a good story. People wanted that
Okay.
to be satisfied with Kenobi, but instead we got this drawn-out TV series with some poor characters in it, and it just felt like it was drug out, and there was even episodes, there was too many filler episodes.
Gotcha.
Um, and so
I haven't got there yet, but I'm sure.
yeah, you'll watch it. I of course, because I was a Star Wars fan, I liked Kenobi, but
Mhm.
it was
I'm a super big Anakin guy. I
yeah.
love Hayden Christensen. So I
I
mean,
love Anakin, but a lot of the fan base has a large appreciation for Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and so Kenobi is definitely an eye opener for
yeah,
you to
I've heard
appreciate the character more.
I've heard that they really love the casting and think that he did a phenomenal job. They just didn't like the story structure.
Of
That's
of
what I've
Kenobi,
heard. Oh, Obi-Wan. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's what I've heard.
Um, so yeah, which is funny because Ewan McGregor, he's the one that played Kenobi in all three of the prequel movies, and then he came back to reprise his role in
Really
Kenobi.
interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. They had a different guy that played Kenobi in the original trilogy because you had like the really old
Obviously,
guy.
because it was post prequels.
Yeah,
Obviously,
but
yeah.
basically, they say that Ewan McGregor is an incredible character because he's in this transition part with his age. If you watch the prequels, it actually looks like he's aging because he is aging at the same time with the character. He just so happened
Right.
to be in that perfect age where he fit the young guy, he fit the slightly older guy with the long hair.
Right.
Now he's fitting the grown up teaching Anakin. Now here it
Hmm.
is. He's on this desert planet. He's got gray coming in his beard now. He's got longer
Hmm.
hair unkept, and it
Right.
looks natural, and you don't have to use CGI on him
Right.
because he is just naturally getting to that point. And it is also getting to a point where he may get old enough. They've already talked about it. They may actually do other things where they show old man Ewan McGregor playing old man Kenobi
Okay.
because he's kind of, as he's growing up, he's
Hmm.
just playing the character as if it is
Hmm.
his life as well.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I can't really talk about the season finale too much because it either it's just going to be. This is
I
the way I
think it's
think
going to
it.
be a
I think
very.
it's going
I
to be. I
I
think it's going to be a big
personally.
cliffhanger episode, and it's going to set up
Yeah.
the next season.
Yeah. I think it's going to be very disappointing for fans. If
Yeah,
they think,
I think it is going
if
to be
they
disappointing.
if they truly believe they're getting any type of climax, they're probably not.
Right. I think what it is going to be is it is going to be um, a big cliffhanger, and that's got to be the climax for the show. All hope is lost. Now we've got to go into season 2 and see where they pick up from it.
Yep.
Everything's
All right.
built up to this point. Now let's see how they digress and resolve the situation.
Second question regarding the season finale. Do you think we'll see any special guests,
I don't think so. I think they're done with this.
or have you already think this? Yeah, I think the season's already welcomed and
I think the season's
a little
I
bit
think
too many.
Yeah, I feel like if they throw in some more star power in the season finale, I think it's just going to weaken it because now you're trying to carry the show with star power.
So if Obi-Wan pops up at the end, you're gonna be like, bruh.
Yeah, which Obi-Wan, we know where Obi-Wan's at, and he's not going to.
Oh,
Obi-Wan's dead.
really?
Yeah. Because this is after the
Oh well,
events of
he
Return
died
of
in
the
the
Jedi.
boot. Right.
So Obi-Wan's dead.
Right.
I mean, if they wanted to, they could
Star
do
Wars
both
timeline is a
Obi-Wan,
little
but
tricky.
that feels weird.
I'm not gonna lie. Star Wars timeline's a little bit tricky. So I'm getting used to it.
Yeah, you'll understand it eventually.
Oh,
It's
yeah, I'm
funny,
still
I
getting
went
used
and
to it.
told my family the entire Star Wars timeline from what I put together, and then we found that section in Disney Plus that has all of them in order. And I was
Bruh.
legitimately spot on with it, and I was just
Really?
like, yeah,
That's fire.
I legitimately connected all the dots.
Could you imagine like you're on a first date and she's like, "What are some interests for you?" And you're like, "Star Wars timeline."
Star Wars timeline. literally
It's
sat
like
in my
it's
room
like
and
the entire.
brainstormed for like 35 minutes and got everything together
Oh,
just to
oh,
find out
it's
Disney
like,
Plus already agreed to it.
what's your proudest moment in life? Proudest
Solving the
accomplishment?
Star Wars timeline.
Solving the Star Wars timeline.
Uh,
Yeah.
no, but yeah, I don't necessarily know if I can talk about season finale much more. We're just gonna have to
Yeah.
see what we
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
Coming up in like the next
I
4
love how
days.
I love how we watched episode 1 and 2 when they first premiered as the double drop, and
Yeah.
then we made the first podcast on it, and we are like, all right, guys, we'll probably come back and review this as a whole after
Literally
the
just
series is
reviewed every single
concluded,
episode.
and then we've like reviewed every single episode.
I mean, hey, it's a good show. It's a good show.
uh, it has thoroughly been pleasing to
Yeah,
watch.
there isn't too many shows out there that are worth doing episodes on.
Do you think we're gonna do that on Loki?
I can see it. I can see it. I don't know, but it's going to depend on how we are feeling once we reach Loki, and it's going to have to depend on how we're feeling about the episodes. Because if we watch the
I agree.
episodes and we're like meh meh meh, we're not doing episodes. We're not doing.
It's definitely not. It's not gonna be meh meh meh.
I know,
Loki's.
but I'm just saying in a hypothetical world, if there's a lot of like, if there's like a meh episode, the
Okay.
most it
No,
might
yeah.
get is a YouTube short because it's not worth brainstorming.
Right. That's fine. That's
Mhm.
fine.
Like to me, I think there was probably an episode. Well, the thing is, though, I was gonna say there's probably an episode of Ahsoka that could have done without an episode.
I don't think we reviewed 3 and 4. I think you did Matt's
I did them
Michael
by
in 3 and 4.
myself. I did them by myself. But I thoroughly enjoyed 3 and 4.
What was 3 and 4?
Yeah, and but you know what I'm
I've
starting to
enjoyed the
wonder?
entire. I don't think there has been a bad episode per se. If I was gonna rate the worst episode, it's episode 6.
Episode 6. Yeah, I can resonate with that, and it's for a completely different reason.
Why?
Because you hate it because it's all Sabine and no Ahsoka.
Correct.
I hate it because it felt off pace from the rest of the show.
Also correct.
To me, it just. But in what stinks is because that's the episode we got reintroduced to Thrawn, and we got connected with Ezra, but yet it didn't hit on that same emotional level that all the other episodes did.
All right. I will be real with you here. All right.
Right.
I'm not emotionally connected to Ezra's character at all because I didn't watch Rebels.
I'm severely attached to Ezra.
Right. I'm not attached to his character at all. Right.
Yeah.
His introduction was weak.
It was a very weak introduction. I will say that. That is something. That
Like I wanted the man to be like. I wanted the man to be like fighting for his life.
Yeah, like I kept waiting.
Or being like some kind of dominance in a fight.
I was waiting for it to be like Sabine's in peril. Maybe she's like about to die. Suddenly, you see Sabine's lightsaber launch through the air. It goes into Ezra's hand, and he goes in there and kills everybody with his lightsaber, and then like saves Sabine. And it's like, boom, here's Ezra. But no,
100%.
just dude leaning.
Would have been way cooler.
And he's just like, took you long enough.
I know, right? It's like, dude. His reunion with Ahsoka was way better.
Yeah.
It was quick. It was precise. It was like, hey, love seeing you. Big emotional hug. Let's move on. Sabine really sat there in like 30 seconds of silence, walking around him, and then made a poorly timed joke and then hugged him.
Yeah. Sabine's character's kind of weak.
For a woman to be claiming she's in love.
Yeah.
That was super
and
weak.
Like, you know, that's
I
what my theories are.
I expected Sabine to turn around, see him, literally thrush herself into his arms.
And see, like, the thing is, though, It's like watching that. Like, of course, the mindset's just like, I've been trying to convince myself that there is a chance that there's a future with them because that's what some Rebels fans were wanting. There was like a bunch of like relationship posts and relationship videos. There was just like,
Kudos to
yes,
them
these
for
two.
having that hope, but I literally feel no romantic tension between them at all.
Yeah, and in this, you could sense the tension in Rebels. You could sense and see it, but in this, it's like the chemistry's gone, and it's just like part of me believes it's possible actor.
Mm, no,
Other it's writing. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
more so writing, more so writing.
More so writing, because you sit there
Yeah,
and it's just like you watch the story and you got the hope, and now you watch this and it's just like,
I think. All right, realistically, I'm gonna just take a stab here, right?
right,
There is a certain thing of actors having natural chemistry with each other
right,
versus actors are only having one job, and that is to act. And if
right,
you cannot act as if you are romantically interested or have that romantic acting ability,
yeah,
it doesn't, it's not a chemistry thing. It's just like you're a terrible actor.
right,
However, there is no signs of their writing being anywhere near romantic interest.
right,
So therefore, it does not fall on the actors.
yeah,
Now, if there was some romantic tension that the writers were trying to do and the actors were just terrible, that's the actor's fault. It's not about chemistry.
right. And like you sit there and like I was sitting there and like trying to brainstorm it. My mind, the way it works is instead of just attacking the situation for what I think about it, I sit there and I try to like overanalyze the situation and try and see like the different perspectives from like say different
Mm-hmm.
individuals, and and,
Mm-hmm.
and when watching it, and so like you watch this scene and like on the one end it's just like what a terrible way for like the characters to be to act when she first sees Ezra, because if there's this longing to see him again, surely
Mm-hmm.
as soon as she sees him she runs and embraces him or tries like,
Immediately.
yeah,
And
but and then
an
you also
extended
sit
hug
there,
of like 3 minutes.
yeah, but then I sat there and I'm just like, I mean,
There there were no tears of joy. There were
right,
nothing, man. She just
to me,
literally stood there,
but like to me
walked
also
half a
if you think about
circle,
it, to
made
me
a
also,
poorly timed joke, and like hugged him for like 20 seconds.
right. And so, like to me,
And then he was like,
I think one of the things
help
they were
me,
trying to go for,
help me. Then
I
he
think,
was like, help me pack up my homies. We gotta move.
yeah, I think one of the things they were trying to go for is shock, because I don't think she was expecting him to like be right behind her, and so as soon as she turns around, it's just like, I haven't seen this guy in 5 years, and he's right in front of me.
That's just a poor
It
argument for
is.
me.
I understand it doesn't have legs, but that's just the way that's the only way that I'm trying to figure out why did this scene go this way. I'm trying to sit there and
You know
say,
what I think it is?
what?
Do you know what I think it is?
What's that?
I think, okay, did Dave Filoni make Rebels?
Yes.
He did.
Yes.
And he's making Ahsoka. But the same guy is making both, right?
Well, the thing is, though, he came up with the idea of Ahsoka, but there's several directors all throughout Ahsoka.
Right.
While Dave
Correct.
Filoni like headed up Rebels,
I
Dave
don't
Filoni's only like
think
directed like
I
two
don't
of the
think
episodes.
I don't think he has full control over the series.
Yeah. I think it's coming down to a lot of like writing and a lot of director perspectives, and it's like,
Could you imagine Dave Filoni like, look, man, we're going like this direction. We're finally gonna get them together. This is their romantic tension. It's finally gonna be resolved. And then they're like, no, we're not doing that because we're killing Ezra at the end.
yeah,
Could you imagine?
yeah. But I also noticed I'm also kind of anticipating the season finale because I saw the guy that they got directed some of the best episodes of Mandalorian,
Okay,
and has a good
cool.
reputation for Mandalorian. And so I'm
Mhm.
sitting here and it's just like,
But it's already a visually beautiful series, so I don't really think it's gonna
right, I'm just trying to figure out like
stand
what are
out
they
in
gonna do
that
to this
area per
season
se.
finale, because this thing's gonna have to go 0 to 100 real quick, or it's gonna
A
be
hundred.
anticlimactic.
I really think it's gonna be
It's
climactic.
yeah,
I
it's
personally feel that way.
yeah,
Because unless they do, a 2 hour finale per se.
yeah. There's just I just don't, and we're sitting here and we're like saying it, and I hope we're so proven
Because
wrong
like,
and they
because
just do
like
it
if,
perfectly. But it's
because
just
like
sitting here and it's just like,
if we're being honest, outside of like the first episode, I don't remember episode two, but they've been surprisingly short episodes.
yeah, there
You
hasn't
know what I'm
been,
saying? They've been like 38 minutes long, which is not,
yeah,
it's not that great.
yeah. But yeah, anyway,
I
yeah,
think that's the
I'm
Star Wars talk right there.
that's Star Wars talk right there.
What runtime are we at right now?
An hour and 54 minutes.
I love how we can talk about this way longer than the episode actually is. Like,
Yeah,
like
that's
I
what's
really
cool.
don't understand.
It's funny because I always sit
I
there,
really don't
right?
understand
So
our deciphering.
this is what's funny because like I sit there and I watch like, I keep bringing him up, but Matt Pat from Game Theory,
Uh,
he has a really bad
Shout out.
habit of taking like a 15-minute video and turning it into an hour and 20-minute, like, say he reacts to something on YouTube, it's like a 15-minute like YouTube ARG series, and so it's like a
Hmm.
15-minute video, and here it is. He's now made an hour and 20-minute long video on it.
That's crazy.
I don't know how he does it, and I would sit there
Crazy.
baffled. But now here I am. I'm sitting here, and we've doubled the runtime for the average episode. We've
We
done
d- we did we did dabble in episode 6 too. So,
we did, but we did.
and we
I
also
don't think.
talked about Obi-Wan and the prequels and the
Mm-hmm.
sequels.
And
So I
so
understand, but like that's just crazy.
I think when you like actually like look at it, because we were sitting at about 30 minutes when we got done with the college stuff in the beginning.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Um,
Still, I mean, we're still talking actively about at least the entire series as a whole.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I just feel like if it's it's like my first Star Wars TV experience.
Yeah.
I'd hate for it to be anticlimactic. Just
Yeah.
just because like I was so mad at She-Hulk for doing that.
Yeah.
Like She-Hulk, watch the entire show and it's like 9 episodes, and like
I didn't watch any of the
it
show, and I
literally,
only watched the season finale.
it literally does not matter.
Right.
Like there is no reason for watching that show.
Right. It's almost like, what was something I watched the other day where they just ended back up at square one? Was this something we watched together?
Me?
No, I'm trying to think of something where, oh, it's the Flash. That's what we were thinking about. Flash kind of just
Yes, yes, but
almost.
the Flash is theoretically supposed to do that because it's technically a Flashpoint story, and you're supposed to end up where you basically began.
Yeah,
But
I was just
they
sitting
still
there.
did that. They still did that movie awful, but that's not the reason why.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't necessarily know where to go from here. I don't know if we want to just cut it here and let it be like that, or if we want to start talking about something else and push for 3 hours, man. But it's 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Mm,
What time do you got to get up tomorrow?
yeah, I'm getting up at 7:30.
Yeah, we should probably call it.
Yeah. So, well, What do you think of the pod for this episode, man? How'd you feel about this one?
I don't know. I think our banter-based episodes are doing like it's funner to engage in. I
Yeah,
guess
and
you know.
that's what I'm starting to realize is now that we've started doing these more banter style ones, because we're still getting our topics out there. We're still addressing
Yeah,
our key points and stuff, but
100%.
instead of
Yeah,
following a script, we're actually kind of
yeah,
getting to enjoy ourselves in discussion, and instead of looking at a time
yeah.
constraint, which that is something.
Because we have normal phone calls every week about Ahsoka that lasts for hour 15, hour and a half.
Phone call we had today, just talking about trying to get ready for this, was an hour long, and it would have been
Yeah, and
fun.
that's
It
because
would have
I
been
had to leave. That's because I had to leave.
Yeah, that's what I said.
So
We would have easily went over an hour if you didn't have to leave.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm definitely enjoying these. They're a lot of fun.
Imagine when we start doing this in person, bro. We're probably gonna have
Just waiting for your face reveal. Once you do your face
like
reveal,
it's. Hey man,
and once I get somewhere where I
hey
can actually
man.
like set up cameras and stuff.
Tell Steph and Mel to hit me up.
When Stefan
I
Amell
don't want
hits
to.
you up, he'll be like, "I will show my face right away."
Well, no, because I always pictured a face reveal as like a photo of like me meeting Stephen Amell or like Grant Custon or something like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember. There's a big YouTuber I
but
watch.
I mean, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I mean, I doubt anyone's gonna watch this from my page because, or at least this long into the video.
Yeah,
But I am. I don't know. It's because if the Arrowverse ending has put a bottle cap on my content per se,
yeah.
or if
It's
I'm
tough
just,
when you do
or if I'm
themes.
just like
Themes are
physically and
tough.
mentally, or if I'm just like physically and mentally ready to move on
Yeah,
into like a more personalized content type feeling.
yeah. Because
Like I'm not saying I'm not
it
ever
would
gonna
almost
cover
be.
the Flash again,
See,
but I'm
because
just saying like,
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, right? What if you made your entire personality, reality, and content page revolve around the Fast and the Furious,
mm-hmm,
and the Fast and Furious just ends?
mm-hmm.
Where does the content go? Where does it come from?
Well, I mean, there's still I don't have like 8 or 9 different series planned. Like I have content. I just don't have the drive to make it.
Oh, I vibe with
I've
that.
really I've really struggled with that for like the last 3 months. Like I can't for the life of me actually sit down and make content.
Yeah, I fully
And
understand,
I don't
man.
I don't know why.
I, I've been there for. I stopped doing content for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks
Hmm.
one time, just because
Hmm.
trying to refine that
Yeah, but
drive
I've been
to.
doing this. I've been doing this for 3.5 years, so it's
Yeah.
been on a consistent 3 or 4 times a day basis. Like I've been doing this for a while.
Oh,
And this is like the longest stretch of my entire time that I've gone without any slightest motivation to do it.
yeah, I'll tell you something that kind of like exciting happened today. Um, kind of like to make my last comment for it. So right, I've been talking about in Discord how like occasionally um, like there's that Twitch streamer I watch, Tubbo,
Hmm.
and he read my text to speech one time, and then he actually read my message I had sent in the live feed one
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
Um, but today, my resub came up. So you know how like the subscriptions work on Twitch or whatever. So like
Hmm.
my $4 or whatever went out again. And it
Hmm.
whenever your $4 or whatever, or whenever your resub comes up, it lets you send a text to speech message.
Hmm.
And I sent the message. And once again there was like I can't remember if it was 11,000 or 17,000 people watching at this time. But I sent the text to speech, and I'm like, kind of like did like a little congratulations to Tobo, but then like let him know like, hey Tobo, you've officially been on the QSMP for 1 month, because 1 month ago I resubscribed to you on the day you logged in. Now here it is 1 month later, and then like keep up the good work, King. And so I send that message, and then he's just like, holy cow, guys. He's like, thank you. He said, like, thank you generally again for the resub. And then he also said, guys, I can't believe it's been a month on the S&P. And it actually, like, I actually, like, kind of, like, wrecked his whole momentum for a second. He sit there and he's like, guys, I've been on the S&P for like a month. And then like the whole chat started like
time
spamming
can
like
fly,
1
man.
month already.
Time can fly, man.
It really does. And so like that was a cool experience to like see like his reaction to it, because normally it's just like,
Mm.
thank you for the sub, thank you for the sub, thank you for the sub, thank you for the sub. But like when they actually like when the streamer actually stops and kind of like addresses your message, or you see
Yeah.
it makes an impact on the person,
Hmm.
then you're just like, that's a $4 well spent.
You know, I just, yeah, I just don't know, because I've had success.
Yeah.
I've had actors like my posts. I've had actors
Yeah.
consistently DM me. Like, I've had full on conversations. I've accomplished a lot. And I don't know if it's just like this new phase of my life. Like, I graduated college. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if it has to deal with the writer strike and the actor strike and just Hollywood being shut down in general. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's all factors, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm just ready to make actual content.
Right. Do
I don't know,
something
man.
do something about you instead of doing something about the
Yeah,
brand.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And see, cause like I'm
Because
kind of
you've known this for a while. Like, I've always wanted to vlog. I've always wanted to do YouTube. I always, you know, even in the slightest. I've even wanted to do a podcast for like a year before you actually asked me to do one with you.
yeah.
I just had no one to do it with.
Hmm.
So I think podcasts are great with content.
Yeah.
I really do. You know,
Yeah.
Uh,
Because
the
basically like,
realistic
because
base of
even just
just like
think about
having a
what we did today.
conversation. That's all we have to do is have a
Yeah,
conversation.
the entire thing. There is no direction for this. There is
Yeah.
no drive for it.
It's just
All it is
it's
I'm
just
just
real.
vlogging in and talking to my mate.
It's unscripted. It's real. That's just what it is, you know? And hopefully you don't become this multi-millionaire subscriber YouTube boy and become scripted content.
Oh yeah. We'll see. Humble beginnings, man. Humble beginnings.
I know, right?
Yeah. But anyway, I think we about call it here. We've hit about 2 hours and 5 minutes, about to be 6. Any last statements you want to make to the audience, man?
um, I mean, if you've made it this far, just like comment your favorite moment of this episode.
All right. And so yeah, I definitely just want to thank everyone who tuned in and watched this live. Thank you for all the follows and subscribes that I've been getting lately, guys. And so that's it from Generally MC and Forever the Airverse. And thank you all for tuning into More Than a Conversation. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. We will catch each of you in the next one. Take care, guys.